Black holes are supposed to live in the center of a galaxy. Webb found one living in the wreckage between two, not metaphor, not a cartoon, an object nicknamed the Infinity Galaxy. Two ringed nuclei locked in a shape that looks like the infinity symbol. And between those nuclei, inside a river of glowing gas, an active supermassive black hole that may have been born right there, not dragged in, not parked by accident, born in the crash. If that story holds, you are looking at something astronomy has hunted for decades and almost never gets to claim out loud. A possible direct collapse black hole, heavy seed. Shortcut that could explain why Webb keeps finding monster black holes too early in cosmic history for the slow, polite growth path to work. That is the discovery, and it starts with a strange picture in a public survey. Two researchers, Peter van Dokkum of Yale and Gabriel Brammer of the University of Copenhagen, were combing images from the Cosmos Webb survey when they hit an object that refused to look normal. Two compact red nuclei, wrapped in a ring of stars. Together they sketched the sideways figure 8 the public calls infinity. The team nicknamed it the Infinity Galaxy and proposed a brutal origin, a head-on collision between two disk galaxies. When disks smash face-on, rings can form, shocked gas piles up, the sky gets weird. You have seen cousins of this geometry before. Ring galaxies appear when one galaxy punches through another, and a wave of star formation races outward like a ripple on a pond. The Cartwheel Galaxy is the famous postcard. Infinity is stranger still. Two rings, two nuclei, one join, a double wound frozen in infrared light. Webb's near-infrared camera painted the rings and nuclei in colors that map different wavelengths to blue, green, and red for human eyes. The beauty is a translation. The physics is a collision, still writing its aftermath. Weird got weirder when follow-up showed an active supermassive black hole. Not inside either nucleus, but between them, sitting in a vast expanse of ionized gas. Hydrogen stripped of its electrons glowed in the middle like wreckage still hot from the crash. Radio and X-ray data lined up with a growing black hole feeding in that same zone. The black hole's mass sits around 1 million suns, enormous by stellar standards, modest next to the beasts that power the brightest quasars, and exactly the kind of heavy seed theorists write about when the early universe refuses to wait. Here is why that location matters. In almost every big galaxy we know, the supermassive black hole sits in the nucleus, the dense heart where stars and gas already concentrate. Finding one outside either nucleus is already rare. Finding one centered in the gas between two colliding galaxies raises a sharper question. Did it form there recent? And Dokkum's own summary was blunt. Everything about this galaxy is unusual, not only the shape, not only the feeding black hole. The biggest surprise was the address, not inside either nucleus, but in the middle. The team asked the only honest question left. How do you make sense of that? No answer is migration. Black holes can be kicked. Mergers can fling them. A runaway black hole could be passing through the scene like a bullet that happens to cross a crime photo. Another answer is coincidence on the sky. A third galaxy's black hole lined up by chance, maybe hosted by a faint dwarf, too dim to see. Dwarf galaxies, though, rarely host million solar mass engines. Both alternatives are possible. Both make predictions. Both can be tested. Van Dokkum's preferred story is darker and cleaner. Two disks collide, gas shocks and compresses. Under the right conditions, that compression can create a dense knot that collapses straight into a black hole, without first assembling a long chain of ordinary stars that later leave behind light black hole seeds. That shortcut is called direct collapse. On paper, it can produce a black hole of roughly 100,000 to 1 million solar masses almost immediately. In practice, gas clouds prefer to make stars. Stopping star formation long enough for a black hole to win is the hard part. Galaxy collision might supply the extreme conditions theorists need: sudden compression, turbulence, radiation, and a pile of gas that has nowhere polite to go. Hold that idea next to the crisis Webb has been feeding for years. In the early universe, Webb has found active black holes that look too massive, too soon. The slow path, light seeds, starts with black holes left by dying stars, maybe up to about 1,000 suns, then grows them by mergers and feeding. Mergers take time. Feeding takes time. Arc doubling of mass still costs a clock. You cannot cheat forever. At extreme look-back times, when the universe was only a few 100 million years old, that clock looks short. Heavy seeds, direct collapse. Skip the kindergarten stage, you start already huge. You buy time by refusing to start small. The infinity galaxy is not itself a baby of the cosmic dawn. It is a laboratory closer to home, in cosmic terms, where the same birth channel might be caught in the act. With gas and velocity measurements you can actually argue over. That is the real prize. Early quasars force you to infer a past you cannot watch. Infinity offers a present tense geometry. Gas here, black hole here, velocities that either match or betray the story. So the team designed a test. If the middle black hole were a runaway ejected from somewhere else, or a visitor belonging to a faint third galaxy lined up by chance, its velocity should disagree with the surrounding gas. If it formed from that gas, its velocity should sit near the gas's velocity, within roughly 50 kilometers per second, or about 30 miles per second, in the language the team used for the public. Close enough that coincidence starts to look like desperation. They got director's discretionary time on Webb. Precious hours reserved for targets too urgent to wait in the normal queue. Preliminary results landed hard. The extended ionized gas between the nuclei is real. The black hole sits beautifully in the middle of that gas's velocity distribution. And as a bonus, nobody ordered, both galactic nuclei also host active supermassive black holes. 3 confirmed active black holes in one system, 2 in the nuclei, 1 in the crash zone between them. That is not a quiet Tuesday in astronomy. Think about what 3 engines mean. The nuclei kept their own monsters. The ordinary address for supermassive black holes. The middle one is the scandal. If the middle one formed from the shocked gas, you are watching a birth channel that textbooks treat as almost mythical. If the middle one only looks native, you still have a rare 3-engine wreck that demands explanation. Either sentence is a paper. Together, they are a mess worth celebrating. Till, and this is where the adult version of the story lives, the team is not claiming a closed case. They say the new data strengthen the newborn black hole reading and weaken some competing explanation. They do not say the debate is over. Direct collapse remains hard to prove in a single object, runaway on a lucky path, a hidden dwarf host, or some other geometry could still fight for oxygen. More analysis continue. Peer review will chew. Other teams will re-reduce the spectra. That caution is not a spoiler. It is how you keep a viral headline from turning into a lie. Zoom out and feel the scale of what is being claimed. Million solar masses means a million copies of our sun crushed into a region so compact that light near the edge can barely climb out. Between 2 shattered disks, that engine is already eating. Material spirals in friction and magnetic chaos. Heat the flow until it screams across the spectrum. Radio emission from the very large array pins the energetic center to the same spot as the glowing gas in Webb's near-infrared. Contours of radio brightness sit on the infrared crime scene like a fingerprint match. Hundra sees the high-energy scream of material falling in. Different telescopes Same address. Same hunger. Ionized gas is the glowing bruise of the story. When hydrogen loses its electrons, it lights up in ways instruments can map. In infinity, that bruise fills the space between the nuclei, surrounding the middle black hole. The gas is not decoration, it is the alleged parent material. If the black hole's motion matches that gas, the parenthood claim gets teeth. If the motions diverge, the orphan story returns. Why should you care if you never memorized the catalog name? Because black hole origin stories decide whether the early universe is merely surprising or structurally incomplete. If heavy seeds are common, Webb's early monsters stop looking like magic and start looking like a production line. Rare, extreme, but allowed by physics when gas collapses hard enough. If heavy seeds are rare, every early quasar becomes a tighter puzzle. Either feeding was absurdly efficient, or mergers happened in a frenzy, or our mass estimates still hide tricks. Infinity will not settle that census alone. Catching one candidate birth in a colliding pair is still a different kind of evidence than weighing a quasar at enormous redshift and guessing backward through a billion years of unknown meal. Imagine the collision itself, not as a diagram, as a place. Two spiral cities of stars approach on a collision course measured in hundreds of kilometers per second. Disks meet, stars mostly miss each other. Galaxies are mostly empty space. Gas does not miss. Clouds slam, sharks race, rings expand like frozen blast waves. Dust worms. New stars ignite along the rims. In the middle, gas that once rotated politely now piles into a luminous swamp. Gravity pulls. Pressure pushes. In ordinary weather, the swamp fragments into stars. In this weather, under enough compression and bad luck for star formation, a knot may cross the line into a black hole that never had a stellar childhood. A dark infant already heavier than a million ordinary stars. Webb did not invent the infinity shape. Humans named it because our brains love symbol. The physics underneath is colder, rings, nuclei, ionized hydrogen, velocity fields, accretion disks, relativistic jets if the feeding gets loud enough. The nickname is marketing. The spectrum is the argument. Marketing still matters because surveys like Cosmology Webb are oceans of public data. Oddities hide in archives until someone refuses to scroll past a weird shape. Van Dokkum and Brammer did not need a private prophecy. They needed curiosity, pattern recognition, and the nerve to ask for more telescope time. That is a quiet lesson underneath the fireworks. The next impossible object may already be sitting in a folder, waiting for a human to say, wait, there is also a cultural aftertaste. For years, the public heard that Webb would find the first galaxies and maybe settle how structure began. Instead, Webb keeps returning exhibits that force theory to sweat. Early bright systems, strange compact red sources, and now a sideways 8 with a black hole living in the join. The telescope is not breaking physics, it is breaking complacency. Direct collapse was always on the whiteboard. Infinity is trying to drag it off the whiteboard and into a velocity blot. 3 black holes in one wreck, one of them possibly newborn in the gas formation channel that could rewrite how fast the dark engines of galaxies can appear. Webb as the infrared witness, Chandra and the Very Large Array as corroborating detectives, claims still under cross-examination, which is exactly where strong claims belong. The infinity galaxy will not end the black hole seed debate by itself. No single system should, but it moved the debate from pure theory into a picture you can point at. A sideways 8 of shattered disks with a hungry darkness living in the join. Point at the rings, point at the nuclei, point at the greenish glow of stripped hydrogen, point at the radio peak that refuses to sit politely inside either city of stars. Somewhere in that join, if the velocities keep telling the same story, the universe may have shown us how to skip the long climb and start already monstrous, not a rumor from 13 billion years ago. Crash you can still read in light arriving now, light that left a wound shaped like infinity and a darkness that may have been born between the scars. Thank you for watching.